What's going on, guys? OGR back with my man, the sports reaction. And my man, how have you been doing? Obviously, we saw your rant earlier. I want to get a little bit of a rant of my own, but I'll let you take the mic for a second.
I said enough about cancel culture in my video. Now, I'll probably say more about it, but if I could sum up my video, what I feel is happening in the world, I could probably sum it up like this. It sucks. Giants news has sucked all this weekend. Yankees players are coming down with COVID left and right. Russell Westbrook was diagnosed with COVID, which is going to take him out of the upcoming summer league. We have so much stuff happening in our world, not just New York Giants, which this show is predominantly about, but all sports are being affected by everything, by politics, by the virus. It sucks. Back to you.
So, real quick, I'll get to the chat. Big Blue Jabroni, what's going on? The Hub, Kyle Cruz, Road Dog, it's me. What's going on, guys? So, here's how I feel. Jay Berman, what's going on? So, here's how I feel about cancel culture. Okay? There is a better way to handle the Redskins thing. Okay? Because the way I view cancel culture is I have a figurative gun pointed at your head, and I'm forcing you to change something that not a whole lot of people have a problem with. I'm not defending what the Redskins name is. It is a racial slur. And I'm not saying it should stay around. But there's other ways to go around it than just saying, hey, I'm going to go after your advertisers. I'm going to go after everything to make sure you change it the way I want it. It's like me going over your house and, I helped you install a door. And I bought that door for you. And then one day I decide I want to take that door back. It's been on your house. It's yours. I helped you install it. Even though I paid for it, it's not my door anymore. It's on your house. You own it now. And I'm like, that's it. I'm going to go after your job. I'm going to go after your lawn, whatever it is, your lawn care company, any electrician you bring over, any plumber. I'm going to get that door back by any means necessary. Is that fair?
I guess you're referring to FedEx, who was one that was pushing a lot of pressure on the Washington football team to change their name. I don't know. Somebody's saying the Red Tails, apparently it may happen, which sounds terrible. I'm going deep into my channel, which I normally don't like to, and people are like, you shouldn't, mix politics and sports. And but I'm not mixing it. It's happening. It's happening left and right. The NBA is going to sport BLM. They're going to have it all over their courts. The NFL is going to play the Black National Anthem during the first week. Now that the Washington football teams change their names, I don't even know if we can say the football team's name anymore on YouTube because you don't know what they're going to take down. And then I see everything else that's been taken away for ridiculous reasons, like Uncle Ben. Why is Uncle Ben got to go? I used to walk in the market and be like, what's up, Uncle Ben? Just because he's there,
Uncle Ben was actually an actual chef. Like, he had a legit reason to be on the box. There's nothing racist about that.
No. And it's weird. I don't know. I don't get it.
And this is what I get about cancel culture, because it just, you're canceling things for the sake of canceling things now. And who's the next to fall? Because if people thinks it's just going to stop here, just like the Confederate statues, it didn't stop simply at the Confederate statues. They went after who owned slaves. Okay, if you want to make an argument, it's a loose argument at that point. You want to make a loose argument about Washington or Jefferson, okay. But at that point, then you're going after abolitionists. Now, tell me what abolitionists have to do with the movement that's going on. So, real quick, I just want to get a couple more people before I continue on my rant. Ligma LOL, Kyle Cruz, depressed Steelers fan. What's going on, guys? It just frustrates me. There's a right way to go about it, and if why not? Here's a thought. Why don't we use the Democratic way? If it truly offends Native Americans and the word Redskin, would it be wrong to sit there and bring out ballots? There's 5 million Native Americans. You find the ones that are put on ballots. You send out a ballot to them. You have them fill out the ballot, and then you have them send back to a place. They go to the ballots and they say, do we want the name change? Do we not? Because the only people that it matters to is the people that it's actually a racial slur to. If they're okay with it, why can't we be? And that's the problem. I have a problem with people for sticking up for the Native Americans when it's not your problem. I'm not saying we can't come and agree on something, but this cancel culture just friggin' pisses me off.
interesting side note, another viewer, and I'm letting people speak freely on my channel. I'm not going to hide people or delete them or anything. I mentioned, you have no right to give an opinion on the Washington team's name because you're not a Native American, et cetera. And as I sat there, I remembered my biological father is 1/8 Cherokee Indian, which means the sports reaction has Native American blood in it. It might be a small amount, but technically I am. And I was like, that doesn't offend me. I have Native American friends. They don't care. And it's like, yes, I get some people are going to be offended. The problem is if a small minority of people are offended, we're focusing more on that than the majority. You can't please everybody. You can't. No matter what, somebody's going to be offended by something. I mean, these people that are offended by everything today, if they lived in the 80s when stand-up comics were extremely vulgar, like Dice and Sam Kinison and George Carlin, they would wet themselves. They would be like, this is so wrong and inappropriate. He's saying bad things about people. Yeah, it's a joke. It's comedy. Second, something you touched on just a moment ago, when does it stop? Washington's team name is gone. Guys and ladies, they're in chat, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Cleveland Indians, the Atlanta Braves, are they going to have to change their team name because they make references to Indians? Literally, the Cleveland Indians are the Indians.
Actually, believe it or not, I actually have something to add on to this. The Washington Post today, headline in Washington Post, the Texas Rangers name needs to go. It symbolizes white supremacy. I kid you not. That's the next team, the Texas Rangers.
Wow. Walker, Texas Rangers. You do not mess with Chuck Norris.
Yeah, and how? And the actual Texas Rangers, there really are Texas Rangers in Texas. How is that a symbol of white supremacy? They're some of the best trained law enforcement officers in the nation.
So what, Rangers can only be white? Is that what you're telling us? That you can't have a black ranger or Hispanic ranger or an Asian ranger?
Apparently the Lone Ranger's racist. I don't know.
To finish my thought, the Cleveland Browns, somebody with brown skin, is that offensive to them? The Cincinnati Reds in the name, is that offensive? Any team with a color name offensive now? This is what my big concern is, and this is why I did my rant video earlier. I get why people might not like the team name, but when you open that can of worms on one, it opens them for everything. And we're seeing the cancel culture attack cereals and foods and TV shows. Cops got canceled, which has been on for like forever because of what happened with, of course, I'm not going to go into it. You already know the story. When does it stop? Because if people win one argument, they're like, all right, we got the Washington team, they are going to move on to something next. Maybe something you like.
And you know what? I'm not going to make the whole stream about this, but this is just something I needed to get off my chest. You did a great job with your video. And the people that unsubscribe to you, it's just disgusting that people cannot sit there. Because you know what? At the end of the day, you're a good-hearted person. I'm a good-hearted person. Butcher's Block and Patriots Talk. I don't know if you watched his rant. He's a good-hearted person. Ligma's a good-hearted person. The one guy, 123, is a good-hearted person. The Press Steelers fan's a good person. The Hub's a good person. I can go up and down this chat. You can come out here and have an honest conversation, and you're not going to be right on everything. No. But with your overall message, and this is what people gets lost. The one time you mess up, people, boom, are in there to hammer you. The one time you mess up, it's ridiculous. But guess what? At the end of the day, when you can have a civil conversation and be right on the general thing of what you're saying, why are we attacking people for just small chunks of things you're saying? I'm not a perfect person. You're not a perfect person.
Yeah, I went a little overboard in the video. Near the end, I got into the guys, a he, but a she, and not a he. And I said, shut up, you're an American. My point I was trying to make is just stop. Just be an American, being a human. But I didn't quite elaborate on that much because I was so angry by that point. I pretty much ended the video after that. But you know what? Yeah, and I told OGR, I told Bobby in the chat, Butcher's Blog, I've lost a ton of subs because I did a video just voicing my opinion. But in the end, I'm okay with that because silence is not good either. Bobby stepped up today. I've been doing quite a few political videos. And again, it's because politics are coming to sports. And I'm like, you know what? The bigger channels probably aren't going to touch this. And that's not a knock to them, but they're probably not going to touch it. Somebody needs to speak up on our sports community. I'm like, you know what? If I lose my channel tomorrow, it would suck. I would miss you guys. But life would go on. That's just a hobby. It's not a main source of income. I don't need it as secondary income. It's just a hobby.
I'm certainly not shying away from it either. I'm certainly not shying it away from either. I mean, I had and I encourage everybody. You want to see what a civil conversation looks with somebody that is not your race, that same race as you, don't share the same colored skin, and can have these realistic conversations. I encourage each and every one of you after this live stream's over, of course. Go over and watch my video, the end of the video, the last 20, 30 minutes of my video with Heartstorm Media, who I had on the Big Blue Courtroom. We had an
You guys went into this?
What'd you say?
You guys went into everything?
We talked.
Wow.
We had a civil conversation live on camera.
I'll have to check that out. I'm sorry I missed it last night. But I'll have to check that out. And I would love to have.
That was Fridays. Last night I had our Giants round.
Oh, you did it Friday night. Okay, Friday night. Well, I would love to have somebody on of a non-white person. Most of my friends are white. I do have a few black friends. I invited my friend Neville on the channel. He's like, oh, I don't want to be on YouTube. I've been trying to like girls on the channel. And they're always like, well, it looks fun, but I'm not going to do it. So I'd like to have that type of discussion with somebody that's different, somebody that's, has a different point of view.
Well, then I'll tell you right now, a guy that can have a civil conversation doesn't mind talking about this stuff live on camera. Will bring up good points. He'll bring up good points. He may open your eyes. He may not open your eyes. But regardless, Heartstorm Media.
So I should have
the guy. He's a very good dude, very intelligent dude, and he sees both sides of the argument because he grew up in Trenton, New Jersey. He lives in Atlanta now. He's been a part of the culture across the board, and he's been everywhere. It's just an awesome dude,
All right,
but
let's see if we do something later in the future, some kind of political.
And then even after we ended the stream, we talked for another hour on the same subjects. So and we just had a great conversation. And he thanked me because I brought him on the Giants roundtable. He thanked me for it. So getting into Giants news, because I mean, that's what everybody's here for. I've given my feelings on DeAndre Baker. I know you've done a video on it. There's a couple other story headlines that have popped up since then. And I want to get your also thoughts on the Dave Gettleman thing. So I'll ask you this first, and then you can take it where you want. Dave Gettleman. Do you blame Dave Gettleman for taking a chance on DeAndre Baker, or do you hold DeAndre Baker accountable?
Yes to both questions, because I think Baker was a bit of a reach trading up in the first round when most analysis, and I'm not an expert when it comes to college football, but they did not have Baker ranked. They had other cornerbacks ranked ahead of him. So to make throwaway, it might feel like throwing away draft picks to move up to take him. And with his track record I've seen in the Giants, you got to think some of these tendencies would have shown up in college, like, maybe being lazy. I mean, not knowing the playbook, falling asleep. There's a sign of laziness there. You think that would maybe come out somewhere. I think I've heard somewhere he's had a little bit of a sketchy. He's got some stuff on his record, maybe not legal record, but some stuff that's character issues. So I blame him for taking it, maybe overlooking some things that warning signs, red flags. So I'm going to put that on him. But also, DeAndre Baker's an adult. This guy's not 13 years old. He is a man. He's 22 years old now, I believe. You pretty know what is right and what is wrong. And when you're making millions of dollars, and if all it innocent until proven guilty, if you really did steal $50,000, $60,000 from people, and then paid them off. So the money he stole, he ended up paying him off anyway, so he gave it right back to me. He's even dumber than I realized. And I pushed OGR right off the screen. What's up, Big Blue Jabroni? So Baker, for OGR to get his, can you hear me?
Hey, I can hear you. I just had to mute the mic and get up. The TV was a little loud. I wanted to turn it down. I don't know.
I just said it there. I mean, he's a young man. He had his whole life ahead of him. And if he's guilty, I said this in my video, he's not going to be making millions. He's going to be making license plates right next to Quentin Dunbar. So I put the blame on both.
All right. For me, I don't mind taking a chance on somebody. He had the talent at Georgia. Kirby Smart's not going to throw you in the starting lineup if you have, character issues that he doesn't believe he can overcome or even take a chance on. So for me, it's just plain and simple. I don't mind Gettleman. He moved up and took the guy, and I know it's a first-round pick, and I know it stings, but now this gives opportunities for other guys that normally wouldn't have one, because obviously we'd all agree if DeAndre Baker didn't get in any of this trouble, I think he'd be the clear-cut favorite for the number 2 corner on the roster. I don't think you're going to disagree with that.
Unless he regressed. See, the thing is,
of course he regresses. It's possible he comes into camp overweight, doesn't produce well or whatever. Your head's on the game, and Joe Judge is like, hey, I gotta find another number 2 corner on this team.
Yeah.
But for me, I have no problem with Gettleman. Like people like Clocks wants me to hold Gettleman accountable, and I'll hold Gettleman accountable when he does make bad moves. Leonard Williams was a bad move, but for the most part, Gettleman, I believe in Gettleman as our GM. I love Gettleman, and yeah,
he's doing a better job than Jerry Reese did his last few years. I mean,
that's for sure.
We got him at that.
And what's going on, Daniel Barry? Big Blue Jabroni. Also, guys, go start up Big Blue Jabroni if you have a chance. Very good, underrated Giants YouTuber, just getting his channel off the ground. So I've had him on the Big Blue Courtroom.
It's amazing with our team sucking and having so much trouble. More and more Giants YouTubers are coming out from everywhere, more than ever. It's interesting. It's kind of awesome. It's like team sucks right now, but I'm gonna get out there and cover my team.
We're probably at one of the lowest points we've been in our franchise history, probably since the early, probably mid '90s, mid to late '90s. We weren't very good. So even mid 2000s, we before we drafted Eli, we were kind of starting on the downtrend there. But for the most part, this is probably the worst we've been in quite some time. And the fact that all these guys are going to come on here and have the confidence. I mean, right now, I'm going to let you guys a spoiler. Instead of doing a Big Blue Courtroom for Friday, which I might end up doing, I am looking to put on a NFC East roundtable.
Yeah.
And I have an Eagles, Cowboys content creator. I got an Eagles content creator. I cannot find a Redskins content creator.
Well, you won't because they don't exist anymore. They're gone. They're fired.
Nice. So, my man, what did you want to talk about? Anything that's burning on your mind?
Well, I'm doing a heavy metal cover of "I Can't Help Myself" by the Four Tops. So
that's awesome.
The Giants. You mentioned a low point, and I'm thinking I've been a fan for about 30 years. I think this is the lowest point because that post Super Bowl team with Ray Handley in the early '90s was getting a little bit old. Yeah, so you kind of expected, and the Giants typically have had a post Super Bowl win season. The next season is a drop off, so to speak. And the mid '90s were really bad, but the talent wasn't there. Michael Strahan was there, but when I think the mid '90s, I'm like, wide receivers are what? Chris Callaway. Our running backs were Rodney Hampton, who was okay. Quarterback was Dave Brown. Danny Cannell never panned out. So the talent was missing in a lot of spots. So expectations are not really high. But I look at the Giants team over the last 3 years, and I see a future Hall of Fame quarterback. Sorry, Eli's a Hall of Fame quarterback. Prove me wrong. A generational wide receiver, and he was OBJ. And then Saquon Barkley. When I see just so much talent in certain positions, and granted, the team had a lot of weaknesses, but so much talent in certain areas, and the team just faltering at every level, it's really very frustrating. It's like, what is going on here? Like, no matter what we do, no matter what moves we make, with all this talent, we can't have it come together. Like, remember 3 years ago, the Giants, OBJ, they signed Brandon Marshall. We're thinking, holy crap, this team is. I was ready coming off that playoff season, first year, Bob McAdoo. I'm like, 11-5. This team just got better. Brandon Marshall's always had those bounce back seasons. And the whole wide receiver core was injured. I think our first 4 starters down for the year. There were guys out there I never heard of. Next year we draft Saquon Barkley. OBJ's back. That hype's coming around. What? This is going to be the year. New head coach. We got McAdoo out. Correct? Nope, sucked again. And last year we sucked. And it's frustrating. And this year, who the hell knows what's going to happen? But
this might not even have a season. I mean, it's unfortunate.
That would make it.
I haven't heard anything past. I know they had the meeting today, and there's a lot of things being discussed. I haven't heard any more breaking news on that point. But there was a ton of stuff leading into the weekend and even yesterday that broke about all the things that they're discussing. The opt-out clause, how that's going to work out, and if they do opt out, what part of their salary are going to get? Is it going to count against the actual salary cap? Because what I heard was they want to take 35% of the players' salaries, put it in escrow to delete some of the costs that's going to happen in the season. Because these players do not realize, unless you do something to help the owners out as well as they're helping you out. And everybody says, oh, well, these guys are billion-dollar owners. Yeah, they're right. But you understand how much it is to just keep a building, keep people working in that building, take care of all these players, get all this gear. There is millions and millions of dollars. These owners, as much money as they have, they cannot sit there and have 2, 3, 4, not making any profit. Like, what they'll do is they'll end up selling the team and then just going somewhere else. Yeah, the team will never go away, but who really wants to change owners? So, I mean, the escrow thing's not bad because they said they were going to recoup the players plus some. Like, there's ways to get around this. I know a lot of people, like even Mark Holmes, have shot that idea down. Like, no. But I really don't know how they're going to supplement it. But I want to get a couple people in the chat before we get on to you. Official Moto Gaming, what's going on? Harrison Jolly, my man, what's going on? And Brandon Rogers. Oh, by the way, guys, obviously you can see from the banner below. Please go sub my man up. This is a man I work with the most on YouTube. A very good friends, and we've become real life friends. And,
Yes.
you know, we'd probably be doing this live from his house or my house if there wasn't a pandemic going on. So, again, thank you, my man. You are a true trooper, and I appreciate you.
Well, thank you. And here's what I want to touch base on with NFL players probably opting out. And I'm always, I try to be optimistic and not pessimistic, but I am realistic. Fans of all sports, hope for the best right now, but prepare for the worst. Because let's say we go into the NBA playoffs, 5 Lakers get diagnosed with COVID-19. Are they going to be able to put out it, or any team? I don't just throw out the Lakers, but any team. The Rockets, Russell Westbrook obviously was diagnosed. That was announced today. If any team has a substantial amount of players diagnosed, they're out for 2 weeks. What's the NBA going to do? You can't say, okay, you're 7 other guys plus, bring 5 guys off the street or bring them up from your G League or whatever, put them out there in the playoffs. Good luck to you. I mean, that seems kind of unfair too. So it's going to suck. Baseball, we're seeing players get diagnosed left and right, and still to this day, we don't really know how bad this thing is because the media is giving us a different story every day. The amount of cases is skyrocketed, but the amount of deaths is going down, and shouldn't it be kind of, it's all over the place. I hope sports are back full-time for the year. I hope we get 16 NFL games, but the most important thing right now is obviously the virus going away, but also the racial disharmony in our country. We're seeing way too many people getting shot, especially a lot of black people and kids now at a time when those lives are supposed to be being saved, not being taken. So that has to be corrected too. We have 2 major things in our country that have to be corrected, and we need to come together. Like Aerosmith, actually, like the Beatles said, come together. We're against each other. The far left and the far right are just doing this. And I really wish, and this is why I'm doing political things on my channel, not to plug, but I'm trying to be somewhat center, and if people have an opinion, I'm not going to delete it or censor them like what's happening on Facebook and Twitter. I want people to voice their opinions. How are they feeling about things? If you're a liberal, you're conservative, you're moderate, whatever it is, I just want an open line of discussion. You're not going to agree with everything I say. I'm not going to agree with everything you say, but that's the great thing about conversations is we have different opinions. Me and OGR see eye to eye. I think we are pretty similar in our beliefs in regards to things that are happening now, but I went way off on a tangent. I'm sorry. So in short, hopefully the world is better because the first half of 2020 sucked. Be safe, everybody, no matter where you are, what country, what state, and hopefully sports are a good distraction for us in the fall because people need something. They're cooped up, they're going crazy, they're watching the news, which is feeding them a lot of anger because it's anger headlines grab attention, and we need something to divert all this energy we have built up in.
Okay, so
sorry.
No, it is fine. I don't mind people going off on tangents. I mean, yesterday I had the Hub going off on tangents. I had Kid Blue going off on tangents. I had Artstar Media going off on tangents. You know what? At the end of the day, that means I don't got to do nothing. I can just sit back, relax, and listen. Anyways, so I guess we can get into questions now. I just want to say, Afghanistan Oh Baby Yeah did enjoy your video today. So a big supporter of the grind community and all really people on YouTube, really.
Afghanistan, YouTube screwed up. I replied to your comment, and then it didn't save. It just kind of sat there and spun, and then I refreshed. Your comment was gone. So I don't know if you deleted your comment or YouTube just maybe you put something in your comment and YouTube deleted, because I've heard YouTube is policing comments, and there's certain things you can't say right now, and I'll just leave it at that.
All right. So Madry Simmons says, what do you think about the new Oakley mouth shield that the NFL is advocating?
I haven't seen it. Is it going to cover the whole thing?
It's basically a shield that comes over, and then like the bottom of it looks like it's slotted in multiple areas, so they can still breathe through it without actually getting the virus through the mask as well, or making it harder for them to contract the virus on the field. Which honestly, the safest place for the players is on the field. Yes, they're in close proximity, but obviously with air, it has a chance to disperse. Like if you're in an air-conditioned household or building, it has a chance to spread because there's evidence now that it can go into small droplets and get blown around the building and spread it to more people. That's why people were wondering, well, in China, they're disinfecting like crazy. How are they still getting it? The ventilation systems, they're tied throughout the building.
Recycled air circulates throughout the building, and that's one way to spread it around. If it's going to protect the players, I'm all for it. So with that, that brings me back to what I was saying before. The NFL is going to have something to kind of keep their faces covered. What are the NBA and MLB going to do? Are NBA players going to wear face masks? Because I've worn one of those after when I sometimes ride my bike to work. I'll throw one on for like 5 minutes so I can walk to my desk. Dude, it sucks wearing a face mask when you're sweaty. It's so uncomfortable and not
Yep,
good.
no, the NBA players are not going to be, and they're going to be in an air conditioned unit. And they hope they got to do their due diligence that this bubble works. So
we can touch on UFC too if you want to, Jared, because people are probably going to talk about it.
I know Kyle Cruz just talked about it. So, guys, if you have any UFC questions, go ahead. But we did stream it the other night. So, yes, Kyle Cruz. We do remember the UFC main event. It was terrible. Damian Strada, what's going on? Anthony Manzino, what's going on? He has a question.
He does.
OGR Sports, do you think it's too late for the Redskins to change your name?
Their name.
I bet this seems forced and not genuine in my opinion. Right now, I don't expect it to be changed. See, here's the thing. Even though the way Daniel Snyder is doing this right now, he's going about it in a way that's right, because right now what people have done, and it's actually made this process even longer, is they have copyrighted a bunch of names that the Redskins were already what's the word? It's not copyrighted. Trademarked a bunch of names already. So it's actually made the process longer because Daniel Snyder's got to find a name that's not trademarked that he can use now. And Washington Warriors is trademarked. I believe the Red Tails is trademarked by somebody else. So you're not going to get a chance to do that. So people have jumped in and done that. So the longer he takes to change his name, the problem is once he gets this name, he's got to design a logo. Once he gets the logo designed, obviously he's got to get that sent out and make prints and whatnot. Even Redskins fans are getting, verbally attacked. I've seen one in airports getting attacked saying, "You're wearing racist gear."
Oh, jeez.
And I feel bad for somebody like another good Redskins YouTuber. I can't think of his name right now. My God, I'm so angry. Ed Oliver. There we go. Ed Oliver. He's like, I'm going to wear my gear around the house. Maybe I'll do a little bit on live stream, but he goes, I am not going to wear my gear out. That dude's a hardcore Reds. If you've watched his channel for even 2 seconds, the dude works in an office. His name badge, guess what the keychain that the name badge hangs off of is? Redskins. Redskins hat, Redskins pullovers. He's got more Redskins gear than I have Giants gear. And his whole house, trash cans, everything, Redskins. It's like, I feel bad for these people, even though they're in our division. And yes, Madry, yes, Red Wolf does sound good.
Of course, because if you bought a jersey last year for Dwayne Haskins or any player that has the Redskins logo on it, it's now pretty much void. It does feel forced. Some folks in my chat or my video earlier today were saying, well, it's capitalism. FedEx wanted to change. Yeah, they're doing it because of money, but the whole genesis of this, I feel, is that FedEx is going, oh, this is a bad look with this team name, especially in 2020. It's time to cancel culture is running wild, and they're looking around and seeing what's happening. Like, what? There's people that don't like this. They're telling the Redskins, hey, you got to change it, and they're going to change it. And yeah, so people got on me saying, the argument that they've been around for 85 years is invalid, but that's 85 years of history. And it's 88. As an American myself, just looking around, I've noticed that with the cancel culture, removing the images of Black people and Indians from products. And I'm like, why are we taking them away? The land of Lakes Indian. What really? I don't get that one. Maybe I'm naive. I don't see how that was offensive. She's there on butter. And I used to go in the grocery market and be like, hey, what's up, Land of Lakes girl? I mean, it's nice to see people of different cultures when I'm shopping. I don't want to see all white people in every product. I like seeing diversity in advertising. And by removing minorities from advertising, then what's going to be out there? Just blank? Or are you going to start? Where do we go from here?
Yeah. All right. So, Anthony Manzino, I'll get to your question in a second, but Damian Stroud had a good question. He goes, what are your thoughts on Dak and the Cowboys not getting the agreement done yet? Do you all think it has anything to do with the NFL taking 35% of the players' contract money? The 35% of the contract money, as far as I know, has not been approved by the NFLPA and the NFL. That was just something that was roundtabled. As far as Dak not getting to agreement, Dak just saw what Mahomes signed for, and he knows by waiting they have to give him a boatload. By the longer he waits, the tag goes up. He makes money. This might turn into another Kirk Cousins type scenario with the Dallas Cowboys, to be totally honest with you.
I've already said that. I think he's already been franchised. We might have to franchise him because the problem, Dak Prescott kind of has that Jadeveon Clowney mentality where he's looking at the top player in the league at a position and thinking, hey, I'm worth that too. But Dak, you haven't won anything. You haven't done anything substantial. You came off your best year ever. You're not the best quarterback in the NFL. I wouldn't even put you top 5. Top 10, I would concede that right now. I'm not going to say he's not a top 10 quarterback. He's probably in there, but I'm sure I could name 5 guys easily I would take over him right now. And to think you're worth 40, I think you last won $45 million a year. Now with Pat Mahomes getting $50 million, is it coming out to a year? That's what he's probably going to look for. And Jerry Jones is probably not going to pay him. And, he's got the gingerbread man. Oh, sorry, that's terrible to say. He's got Andy Dalton on the bench. Maybe Andy Dalton comes in and pulls a Ryan Tannehill and balls out in a game. And next thing you know, they're like, you know what, Dak? He can do what you can do. And he doesn't want $50 million. Have a nice day.
All right. So, OJ, I want your opinion. This is from a Dolphins fan's perspective. Here's a name. I would like them to use the Washington Revolutioneers as their mascot by George Washington with a musket. Okay. But
Did George Washington own a slave?
Culture, guess what? People are going to say Washington. He's a racist because they've tried to rip down a statue because Washington did own slavery, but later in his life he already said he didn't want to be a part of it. What I like to point out is we all understand slavery is a horrible thing, but back in the day, 1700s. Think if you were back then, if you lived back in that era, slavery was a thing. It was quote unquote the popular thing to do. So, I'm not, I condemn slavery. I think we all condemn slavery, but I'm just saying back in the day, that was normal. Obviously we all understand slavery is bad, but back in the day, it was normal. And people just like, oh my God, that was normal back in the day. Obviously not normal now. We got rid of it. But either way, what are your thoughts, TSR?
Yeah, I would say that GW, if you try to put them on the logo, it's going to come up with a terrible amount of opposition based on what you just think. Like, nope, that's you're going from one racist logo to another one. They're not going to allow it, and it's. I will never condone slavery, ever. But the fact that there's a lot of people are gender and race right now, are getting slammed for stuff that happened hundreds of years ago. It's like I never owned a slave in my life, nor would I. I mean. And you know what? The thing is, there's still slavery out there. That's the weird thing. People don't. Sex trafficking, I believe, is sexual slavery. Is still something that happens in parts of the world, but nobody seems to be fighting against that. It's like the slavery from 200 years ago, or what? Maybe that's that number's a little high. 150 plus years ago. That effect still lingers today. But there's actual human trafficking and sex slaves being sold, but nobody says anything about it. So it's like we're stuck in the past, and the past is terrible. But you know what? You learn from history. That's why we have history books. That's why we have some of those statues up. Should maybe some come down? Yeah, I get it, but there's you learn from history helps you to not repeat the same mistake. And if we keep erasing parts of history, the mistakes we made in the past could serve us again in the future.
All right. What was I going to say? I have a couple things to get to. First off, I think this is actually kind of a troll question by MH because a photo came out the other day with Jabril Peppers. And he was looking like real jacked and buffed. So that's kind of a troll question by him. But I enjoy it. We love MH. Oh, he also has a question for you.
The dirt? You want me to clean shaven?
Honestly, yeah, you're clean shaven. Your beard is actually better formed than mine. I mean, guys, if you look at my beard, look at all the skin you can see underneath it. It's not a full beard. Everybody gives me compliments on my beard. My beard sucks. See his beard? That's what a full beard looks like. Stop giving me compliments on my beard. I look like Paul Pierce. I'm patchy.
Wolfman.
And I'm just too lazy to shave.
Right, too.
All right, Al Cruz has got a question. He says, OGR, why do you think the rumors about teams that AB could go, if he probably not coming back? No, he's not coming back, Kyle. He's not coming back. I don't see how he's coming back. Even if he does come back, he's going to have to probably serve some sort of suspension time with the NFL. So, yeah, AB, you're probably never seeing AB again. That's just unfortunate. A guy that talented, win a little bit in the head. Maybe, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised, and you brought this up the other day, maybe you or somebody else, if AB does not have some sort of CTE.
I brought that up. Bunting's perfect hit. Because I just watched Concussion with Will Smith, and I've been saying it for a while. I was like, Antonio Brown, after that perfect kick that knocked him, KTFO'd him, seems different. It really has been a little off the deep end the last few years. And for a pretty long period of, 4 or 5 years, he was the number one wide receiver in the NFL, at the very least top 3 every year for multiple years. And just ridiculous video game numbers he was putting up. And I hope he doesn't have any type of CT, but I think, you can't keep taking hits like that, and you can't take a hit that massive and maybe not have sort of lingering effects. He's taken other hits since then, maybe not one that dropped him like that. But I think something's not right up there anymore, and he's amazingly talented, and his career's probably over.
All right, so I'm going to highlight this comment real quick because Philly Notion is a guy I found through YouTube. Great Eagles content creator, has very good formed opinions, and he says, OGR, my guy, ain't here to troll you right now, but once the season starts, you're not safe, brother. Keep up the great work, my guy. One thing we can agree on is Washington is trash, or as TSR would say, Washington?
They stink.
There you go. Love it.
Setup.
All right, so Anthony Manzino says, OGR, what would happen if there's no season? Didn't happen, and does all the extension money for the first year of Patrick Mahomes' extension get deferred to next season? Sounds that way. I think a lot of contracts may be deferred. I don't know. Honestly, I wish I could. You know what? The best guy to ask is Kevin Abrams. Go message Kevin Abrams. He handles the salary cap issues for the New York Giants. He would answer it for you.
Hopefully, we don't have to address that question for real at some point. I hope we don't get I hope we don't get an answer to that question in a few, in September or October at season's over.
Absolutely.
Kyle's got a good question.
Kyle said, he says, OGR, can Daniel Jones stop fumbling? It's hindering the Giants' success. Yes, because if you've looked him up on social media lately, he's added that 8 pounds of muscle. Dude's looking a little bit more buff than the skinny rail he was last year. So, yes, he's added some strength to his game. I think the fumbling problem will be fixed. TSR.
What's funny is I did a video on whether Daniel Jones will have a breakout year, and I said no, I think he's going to improve on last year. And I said I still expect about 10 fumbles in 16 games. And people kind of got on my case like, dude, what the heck? I'm like, you realize he had 18 fumbles in 13 games. So 10 and 16 is kind of in line with the NFL average. Eli was usually 7 to 11 a year. So this is only his second year, and he's not going to have a lot of practice in that, and the other, and time with Joe Judge before the season starts and Jason Garrett. So I think 10 and 16 would be a hell of a monster improvement over 18 in 13 games.
And not only that is winning cures a lot of what happens with the Giants. So you notice how nobody talks about Carson Wentz's fumbles. He has 43 fumbles in his career. I forget the actual stat.
I'm gonna look him up.
But he's a fumble machine too. Nobody talks about it. You know why? Because the Eagles are winning. If the Eagles started losing, guaranteed Eagles fans would be like, why is Carson Wentz fumbling so much? Damian Strada, with the Redskins changing the name, what do you think will happen with the retired Hall of Fame players number and with the Redskins Super Bowl? They'll still be referred to as Redskins going forward. I mean, it's a great question. Don't get me wrong. That's a very good question. I imagine they're still going to – just because something's retired doesn't mean you can't refer to it. People might yell at you for it, but at the end of the day, they were Redskins. Or maybe they'll do what the WWF is or WWF was. Obviously it's the WWE, but they – don't really like to they refer to everything in the back in the day as they were part of the WWE. I don't know. Yeah. For the most part, I think they're in the Hall of Fame. They've been inducted as Redskins. They will stay Redskins because they are Redskins players at the end of the day. That was the name of the team when they played.
So 2 things on that. Wentz had 16 fumbles in 16 games last season, which I didn't know, but you didn't really hear about it because they were winning. And I think the WWE had a lot of illegal issues with the World Wildlife Fund, which is the WWF. And for a long period, they couldn't say WWF or show the Attitude logo, which was a WWF. Something has happened with the lawsuit or something was settled, so they can now say WWF when they're referring to the 80s. It's really weird. It sucks they have to change their name, but whatever.
All right, so a little off topic, but I'll entertain class. Can we talk about and argue something really interesting? Like, what is a better series, Breaking Bad or Sopranos series? I'm a Breaking Bad fan. I watched Sopranos. They're both great series. I just preferred Breaking Bad over Sopranos. If I had to rewatch, I'd still pick Breaking Bad over Sopranos. But hey, TSR might have a different thing because he's looking stoic over there. So we already know that.
I'm looking sexy. I've only seen Breaking Bad. I'm not a fan of The Godfather and things of that nature. I respect the movie, but when I've tried to watch The Godfather or The Usual Suspects, those type of movies, mobster type things, or gangster, American Gangster, was it American Gangster, one with Denzel? I tried watching that type of stuff, just never appealed to me. So I think I watched one episode of Sopranos and I couldn't get into it. I'm sure it's very good, but I would go Breaking Bad. I mean, Heisenreich, man. What's my name? Heisenreich. Gosh darn right. It's like, yeah, that moment is like, so I would take Breaking Bad.
So Philly Notion actually has a good question. He says, I hope Washington changes their name to the Washington Trash Cans, LOL. Love it, fellas. Question for both of you. Would you build your organization / franchise around Daniel Jones or Dak? All right. With trying to be the most realistic, unhomer person I can be, I would still stay Daniel Jones, and I'll tell you why. I think we already know what we have in Dak Prescott. Daniel Jones is an unknown. Daniel Jones had a very good rookie season. Daniel Jones shows you the kind of throws and the kind of decision-making you want with the accuracy to make the tight window throws. A lot of people like to say, well, he only had 5 good games. Well, one of the games, people forget, the Packers game, he was injured in that game. He played very well in the first half of that Packers game. Once he went down with that sprained ankle, he was short arming throws. Even that throw that everybody gives credit to Sterling Shepard, that was short, where Sterling Shepard had to come back to the ball and slip down the snow and made it. At the end of the day, that Packers game, he played through that Packers game injured. Right now, I'm going to say Daniel Jones because he has more unknown upside. I might be wrong. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna say Daniel Jones. But if somebody says Dak Prescott, I'm not gonna fault you. You already know what you have in Dak. And if you don't think Daniel Jones can be better than Dak, then you shouldn't say Daniel Jones. But I think Daniel Jones can.
I'll probably lean towards what OGR is saying and agree with him on this, simply because I feel like we've pretty much seen Dak Prescott's ceiling, and he has had a lot of great offensive talent around him the whole time he's been in Dallas. We've seen 1 year out of Daniel Jones. And we've seen bad Daniel Jones and good Daniel Jones. And good Daniel Jones is a very high possible ceiling. I think he has set the record for most games with 4 more touchdowns passing by a rookie. I think he had, 3 or 4 games? So when he balls out, he can ball. And we haven't seen him with his full complement of weapons, which we have seen with Dak. And we haven't seen him play with a good offensive line. So I'm just thinking, what is the ceiling for Daniel Jones? I know what I have with Dak. Could Daniel Jones be a 5,000-yard, 50-touchdown guy? That might be pushing it. But I think he can build, whereas Dak, I think we've already kind of seen what we've got. Plus the fact that Dak wants $45 million a year, if we're taking Dak right now, I'd be like, no, I'm going to take this guy here, whose ceiling I don't know, opposed to the guy who I have a ceiling, and his personal value is way more than his ceiling.
Clock says he was just kidding, but hey, I don't care if you're kidding. I'll answer those damn questions. Ramen Dre 81 says, "What's up, guys? What's going on, Ramen Dre 81? Thank you for stopping by."
Not the sun over here.
Question. In the NFL, if the NFL season doesn't happen this year, how do you think? I think he says it will affect next year when there is a possibility of a lockdown. I think he meant lockout. Like, they're not going to come to.
Oh, lockout, yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So, quite frankly, I can tell you one thing. Salary cap's going to drop way down. You're not going to see $198 million. People are going to be hemorrhaging players to make that salary cap right now. Guys that had these big contracts, they're like, yeah, let's go. Don't be surprised if the Bears cut Matthew Stafford. Like, it's just crazy, stupid things.
Wait, what?
But honestly, that's one thing that's going to happen. Right now, they're talking about balancing the losses they're going to receive this year. What?
The Bears cut Matthew Stafford?
Sorry. The Lions cut Matthew Stafford. I apologize. But
my ears are like,
this is why we have good chemistry right here. He corrects me. That's why we have good chemistry. But yeah. All that being said, though, yeah. The salary cap, they're talking about spanning it out over 9 years. So you're not going to see that big jump that you were seeing, even with more money. Because whatever losses they receive this year, they're going to balance it over 9 years, they said. So it's going to be like $5 million a year. It still might go up, but not as much as it would have gone up. And then as far as I'm pretty sure they've come to agreement on the new CBA, but I could be wrong about that.
I don't know. I usually don't follow that stuff too much. I get more of my news from you when you cover it, more so than searching for it on my own. Only because, and maybe this sounds like a lame excuse, but I do cover a lot of different stuff on my channel, and to try to cover everything in depth for each sport that I cover would be just a little too much. So I kind of just focus on the news for my teams and not always what's going on in the sport. Like people always ask me, talk about the teams in the AFC. I'm like, I don't care. I'm a Giants fan. I follow the Giants, what's happening in the NFC East. I don't pay too much attention to what's going on with the other teams. Yes, if there's a big move like DeAndre Hopkins to the Cardinals, I'm going to see stuff like that, or Brady to the Bucs. Yeah, I stuff like that. But little moves, I'm probably not. I don't care. It's not my team. It's not my division. Who cares? Sorry.
Oh, and by the way, MH says Bears Lions, same thing.
MH, the Bears versus the Lions. Bears in a landslide. Ditka versus the entire New York Giants football team. Ditka in a landslide. Ditka versus God. Ditka in a close one.
I love that. But anyways, so honestly, I'm curious to get this question. Why do you think we have good chemistry?
Chemistry, I've worked with a lot of different people on YouTube. I've had different friends on, and I think good chemistry just comes up, usually happens when, it's good to have a real life friendship, whether it's just a YouTube, it's a YouTube friendship or a real life friendship off of YouTube, but respecting each other's opinions we don't always agree. We do not, but I try to see things from his point of view and vice versa. And I don't think we're afraid to call each other out. If he doesn't agree with me, he'll call me out. If I don't agree with him, I'll call him out. I mean, I always bring this up, OGR put a comment on my video that it was very irrelevant at the time. I should be covering something else. And it's the most watched video on my channel ever. So.
Yeah, totally. Cover something else.
Covering the NFL draft. So here's what happened. I did a video on Mekhi Becton that has 150 views, and the video that was irrelevant has 150,000 views. So, yeah, there you go.
There you go. So Philly Notion wanted to give me props. He goes, "Salute OGR. I thought you were about to say Dak. I so agree. I take Daniel Jones twice in a row. Dak has hit his ceiling, and Danny has some talent. I must say, interested to see his growth. I'm interested to see his growth as well. To be totally honest.
Yeah, can I say something about Daniel Jones? So you, me, a lot of New York Giants YouTubers, we all made videos about how much we hated the Daniel Jones pick, the night of the pick, or the day after the pick. And
I think I just want to interject for 2 seconds. I think it was more due to ignorance than actually knowing Daniel Jones and the type of player.
Right, but still, what I see is sometimes a lot of trolls like, ha, 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 your video. And I'm like, do you realize how happy OGR is, how happy I am if I'm wrong about that reaction video? If this guy balls out and becomes a Hall of Famer, we're both happy to eat crow and be like, yep, we were wrong about Daniel Jones. Thank you for the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Awesome. So Philly Notion's got a question. Are you fellas all on board with Dave Gettleman, or is there some doubt? I think this is a big defining year for him. Hot seat check. Thoughts on Gettleman? Do you want to take this one first, or should I go?
I like some of his moves. DeAndre Baker, I wasn't a fan of that when it happened. And what's happening now, I'm less than a fan of the move. Nate Solder was what was out there, but we did overpay for him. But maybe that was the only way we could get him on the team. So GMs are always going to make bad moves. The OBJ situation was a little sketchy where, he signed him and he's going to keep him, then he trades him. But, you said this, I think. If you plan on getting rid of him, he can't tell us he's planning on getting rid of him after signing to the contract. Just like, in politics, people are sometimes going to lie to make things happen. And overall, I think he's done a pretty good job, but I do worry because his team needs to stop switching coaches, and we can't keep having a restructuring of the organization every 2 years. That the Giants go 6-10 or worse, he might be out the door. And I think, I disagree with some of the moves, like Jonathan Stewart, really. Mentor, yeah, okay. I think there's better mentors than Jonathan Stewart, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. Overall, I think he's done a good job. And again, when you compare him to what Jerry Reese did his last few years with Eric Flowers and Eli Apple, and just not addressing needs on the team and just constantly shuffling Eli out there with a bad offensive line, thinking, yeah, we can still, he's all, he won us 2 Super Bowls. Go get him, Eli. It's like, no, you're not building the team right. So I think he's going to stay here this year, and no matter what we do, unless it's a catastrophic season, but even then, if players are hurt left and right or miss games due to COVID, that's not on him. That's on the training staff. I think he needs to stay around until next year. So I'm going to give him a B, and a B keeps your job in my book.
All right. So the way I feel about Gettleman is the biggest problem with the New York Football Giants is ownership. Ownership hired Gettleman. Ownership made the mistake of not firing Jerry Reese when they fired Tom Coughlin. And the unceremoniously firing of Tom Coughlin gives us an embarrassment of a press conference. Everything stems from this team is all because of ownership. They hired Gettleman. Gettleman came in his first year and tried to win. All his moves symbolize winning. I am not going to fault Gettleman for trying to win when that's what ownership wanted. I don't know about you, but when my boss tells me to do something, I do it. What the biggest problem with the Giants is all of a sudden ownership after years and years and years where we had the average length of a GM before Jerry Reese was gone was 13 years. There's a reason for that. Continuity and staying with somebody and patience and develop things the right way. And what the Giants have done is sealed their fate with Gettleman. Because if they fire Gettleman and Joe Judge doesn't work out, what are you going to do then? Because what other GM are you going to bring in if you fire Dave Gettleman this season? You're not bringing in anybody. Nobody's going to want to take that job. They saw you fire Jerry Reese. They fire Dave Gettleman. They've seen you go through coach after coach after coach. This is a problem. This is a problem. So what the Giants need is patience and continuity and allow Gettleman to finish what he started. Yep. And unfortunately, you're going to have to leave Gettleman around and have him work with Joe Judge because guess what? That's the only choice you got. Because I don't care if the Giants go 2-10 or sorry, not 2-10. 2-14.
Hey, 4 games are getting canceled. You heard it here first from OGR. 4 games are getting canceled. The Giants are going 2-10.
But I don't care if we go 2-14. Got to keep Gettleman. Sorry, you're the one that made this decision, ownership, and I that's a horrible thing to say, and I don't want that to happen as a Giants fan. But you need continuity. You need to stick with something because firing Gettleman would be the worst thing for this franchise. He has us in the right direction. Even Eagles fans or Redskins fans or Cowboys would not disagree that Gettleman has done a good job to get us in the right direction. Why not let him finish his view? You saw what he did in Carolina. He turned that team around. Even when people are saying, "Oh, you can't do it, Gettleman. You can't do it." Oh, what are you doing? Thinking about letting go of Josh Norman, and then all of a sudden, boom. He's taking the team to the playoffs. He made a Super Bowl. Allow Gettleman to do his job. And that is my long-winded answer on.
If you could highlight Damian Strauda's question at 8:18.
Oh yes.
What's worse? So I will answer that, Damian Strauda. What's worse is Cody Parkey. Because he brought the playoff game. Ding, ding. Double doink is worse. MH has a legit question after that, though. I think that's pretty relevant.
Do you guys think Saquon Barkley is going to be the best running back for the next 3 years, or will Zeke or McCoffey surpass him as the king?
I like to start with this one. So I think Zeke has hit his ceiling. I think we've pretty much seen what we're going to get out of Zeke. McCaffrey, 1,000-yard season, rushing and receiving, only the third player to do it after Roger Craig and Marshall Faulk. Incredible. I think that's his ceiling too because he had 400 touches last year, and a player of his size, they're not going to give him the ball 400 times a year. That's just way too much. That's way too big of a workload. He's going to be DeMarco Murray out of there in 2 years if they keep doing that. We have not seen the ceiling for Saquon Barkley. I really don't think we've seen it yet. It's only his 3rd year in the league. He was hurt last year, so we've seen 1 full season. He's been on a team with a bad offensive line and a rookie quarterback. So, granted, Christian McCaffrey had Kyle Allen last year, so I guess you could argue the same thing. I think Barkley could really challenge that 25-plus 100-yard mark that Chris Johnson dropped 6-7 years ago with 2,000 yards rushing, 500 yards receiving. I could see him rushing for close to 1,800 and having 700 or 800 receiving yards. So I don't think he's peaked yet. Will he be the top back in the next 3 years? If healthy, it's going to probably be him and McCaffrey biting it out. With Zeke, I just don't. With now CeeDee Lamb being there, I think the focus is going to be more on passing in Dallas, a little more than rushing. Probably doing a little play action, but I think you're going to see a little more lean towards the pass. I could be wrong.
All right. So Jay Berman has a very good question. He says, what do you think of Mara? He's a disappointment in my opinion. Mara and Tish are a disappointment in my opinion. And Mara needs to take a book out of his father's book. Or take a page out of his father's book. Sorry. Grow some freaking patience. Allow your team to develop. Stop making stupid decisions. What's going on?
Saquon Barkley's in the chat.
Look at Saquon Barkley.
Wow.
There we are. Loved you at Penn State. Anyways, listen to WFAN today and had DeAndre Baker's lawyer, Patrick Patel, on, and he said he's working with the FBI to set up the accusers for extortion. No money was exchanged, says Baker, innocent. Will you, Chelsea?
This is so convoluted. If that's the case, great. But, man, it just keeps getting deeper and deeper. And if all this is going on, he's not going to be available for week 1 of the season. He's going to be still in legal matters and investigations. Don't expect him either way to play much, if at all, in 2020.
Imagine if that was a real Saquon. That'd be awesome.
Dude, wow.
I absolutely love it, fellas. Keep up the firework. Yeah, bro, we need to rock something one day. Love your thoughts on way too for the Eagles culture. Fly, Eagles, fly. Great work, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it. Jay Berman, yep, bullseye OGR. Most people agree with me when I have to say that about Mara. Honestly, I actually don't think Mara receives enough criticism from the media. I wish guys like Ralph Acciano, all these other beat writers, Art Stapleton, go after him a little bit harder than they do. I think they take it easy because they're afraid their press pass is going to be taken away, but whatever. Do you guys have confidence ever in blocking potential, or is he's going to be a duck? He's going to be a duck. I
never say his name, Tallulah or whatever. The guy that's like 6'8" that we just signed. Lately, I always butcher his name. Levine Toilolo. I think he's going to be our number 1 blocker as tight end.
Here's one for you from Damien.
Right, that's what I was laughing at. I got it. Very well done, sir.
Well done. We need it. I want to see it. I want to see it happen. Honestly, one day, I have such high hopes for Saquon Barkley. One day, I hope we have the discussion, Saquon or Sanders, Barry Sanders, meaning.
Ooh,
I hope we have it one day. That's how highly I think of Saquon.
Saquon's going to be a better receiver than Sanders was in his career, no doubt. Not the Bears a bad receiver, but I think just in his rookie season, Barkley had more catches than Sanders had in any year in his career. A lot of people knows about Barry Sanders, and I'll use this as a point about how great he was. Barry Sanders is the all-time leader in negative yardage from scrimmage in the NFL because he got tackled in the backfield so much, and he still averaged 5 yards a carry. He was just so – if you guys have never watched Barry Sanders' top plays, and yes, the NFL was different in the 90s. Of course, players could actually hit one another in the 90s and sack the quarterback and drive him into the ground. He was so elusive, powerful, and the crazy thing about Sanders is he would score a touchdown and just give the ball to the ref like he'd done it before, which he had. He was a classy dude, a great player, and had he played 3 more years, Emmitt Smith is not the all-time leading rusher, no doubt.
Saquon says, this year, me and the Giants are going to show the NFL we're at least a wild card. Hey, that's the news we want to hear.
I said 8-8. That's wild card. I say 8-8. That's cusp of wild card. Oh, that might win the NFC East as bad as it's been.
And then we got to highlight this comment. Would you rather go?
Jay Berman, that's from my head.
To go Jim Brown a notch below. Saquon is one of the. You want to actually know something, Jay Berman? The most underrated, and I suggest everybody in the chat never watch tape on Gale Sayers. He would have had a better career, but it was shortened because it's only 8-year career. Gale Sayers is one of the most underrated running backs you will ever see. And he's actually a lot like Christian McCaffrey, where he was he could return, he could do everything. So,
Damien just asked a question that I'm not familiar with what he's asking about. So, I'm not aware of this controversy.
I'm not aware of the controversy either, but it should be.
Should they not count for points?
Get to 1,000 subs, and I appreciate the vote of confidence.
We're trying, Nick. There's a lot of channels that we're trying to get him to 1,000. But he mostly, honestly, I'm buddies with him. It's not the monetization he's worried about. That's obviously nice, but he wants community notes. I know he does. He doesn't want to have to do a 2-minute
That's the only thing I care.
He wants the damn community notes.
Peyton Manning says, "Without my brother, you can't do it."
Hey, Manning's in the chat too.
Hey, we got everybody. We got every troll on YouTube. Oh man. But do you? I imagine it's kind of getting that time.
Yeah, I like keeping it right around the hour format. I think we've covered pretty much everything. Of course, I want to thank everybody for stopping by. We went all the big subjects. The Big Blue Breakdown is on OGR's channel, and then on my channel. We go back and forth. I'm sure if you're here, you're very familiar with the New York Giants channels, such as Bad Dog Sports and the Entertainer Talking Sports. We're kind of mirroring that a little bit. We thought, hey, we're both Giants fans. Instead of watching the game by myself on Sunday, we're going to call the Giants games throughout the season, and then whoever called the game that very next night on Monday around 7 o'clock, 7:30, depending on when the Monday night game starts, we'll do a quick 1-hour show. Talk about the game, what we liked about the game, what we didn't like, do a statistical breakdown, et cetera, et cetera. And just, have fun being – well, I just mentioned you. Look at that. He must have heard me talking. He's like, uh-oh, TSR is talking about me. Boop, and he came right in.
And I'm going to say something here. It's not a knock on Bad Dog and Tana. They're both great YouTubers. They know it. I support their channel. But what I'm going to say is once you get to a certain size, when you're getting 100+ people in the chat, 5,000, 6,000, you can't keep up with the chat. And then all the super chats take up all the information. And I know those guys. They love answering the chat. They love interacting with you guys. But at the end of the day, they can't interact with 1,000 people or 500 or however many they have. Both those guys get at least 150 people when they go live each and every time, if not more. And again, they know I love them. But at the end of the day, we can answer more questions. We can be more forthcoming with the chat. I don't have, super chats that I have to really guard. That's actually kind of a good thing. It actually is a distraction. But now all YouTubers are showing up like we're trying to end the show. Kid Blue, thank you for having me.
I will say today. Obviously, as a YouTuber, when I've had thousands of people in my stream at once, it's a great feeling. You just look and you're like, holy crap! There's the chat starts going, you can't even acknowledge anything. And I hadn't been into one Entertainer Talking Sports streams in forever, so I went into an Entertainer Talking Movies because some of you might know he's doing a movie thing now, and I loved it because there was only 30 people in there. And that's one thing I really loved when I joined the sports community last year in January when I started talking to these guys is they could address more of what you're talking to. And again, that's like OGR said, not knocking their channel anyway, but it's hard to have that interaction with many people, and it's just the chat just going like this all the time. And I really like being able to talk to Chris a little bit in his movie stream because there wasn't a lot of us there, and it was nice, And then sometimes. I'm a little bummed out when I have a smaller stream, but it's on the flip side, I'm like, I can make sure I get every single one in there. So I guess what OGR was trying to say is, if you're looking for something a little different once in a while, and there's 4 quarters to an NFL game. I've always told folks, you can bounce around. You can check it, or what I used to do is if Tanner and Bad Dog were streaming different, same game but separately back in the day. It's like, all right, wow, now Chris reacted to that. You can rewind live streams a little bit. Oh, let me go see how Bad Dog reacted to that. So that's cool. And you can support everybody at once, or you can watch us all at once. You can have me and OGR over here and Bad Dog and Tanner over there. And be like, look at these 4 knuckleheads screaming and throwing crap. That's why I don't like New York Giants fans.
I'll answer one more question because why not? If Slayton became the number 1 wide receiver, will we have a sophomore slump because the team have tape on him and will know how to defend? Actually, I'm going to argue against that. Normally, I would say that. If Pat Shurmur was still around, which Bad Dog doesn't, glad he's not. But he's going to be asked to maybe run a different route tree than he did or whatnot. You're not just going to simply defend him. I mean, teams have tape. Yes, his separation wasn't the greatest. But at the end of the day, yeah. I expect because of a different offense, it's going to throw a new curveball at defenses, and you just can't play us the same way you did last year.
I want to touch on that real quick. The offense is going to be different than last year because it's hopefully going to be healthy. I don't think people are going to look at Darius Slayton as the guy we have to stop. A healthy Saquon Barkley is where all eyes are going to be first. That's the player you got to stop first. If Evan Engram is healthy, I think he might be the second guy teams might look at because with his speed, he's kind of a mismatch nightmare for some defenses. So that could still help Slayton get open. And I don't know if teams are going to look at him as the number 1 receiver. They might not. Will they put their best guy in him? Golden Tate. Say what you about Golden Tate. He's still one of those guys that can catch a ball 4 yards off the line of scrimmage and take it to the house 75 yards. He has those weird plays where you're like, oh, yeah, Golden Tate's fast. You forget. Because he had some abysmal seasons in Detroit where he caught 100 balls for 900 yards or something. You're like, really? 9 yards a catch? And he caught 100 balls? So it should be interesting. I don't think we're going to have a lot of guys catch 1,000 yards rushing, or sorry, receiving wise, but I think we're going to have quite a few guys in that 800 range, 900 range. You know what? I'll take 3 or 4 guys, and we have enough guys. Shepard, Slayton, Tate, Ingram, and Barkley can all be in that right around the 800 mark. I'll take 5 guys that can do that, then what's 1 guy that can catch 1,500?
I concur. So, anyways, I think now is a good time to end it. So we will start the ending again. Hopefully we get through it. Watch, Tana's going to pop in the chat too now. TSR?
Oh, was I supposed to say something? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right, so thank you so much for tuning in, guys. If you're not familiar with my channel, I'm a jack of all trades, master of nothing. I cover, obviously, the New York Football Giants, San Antonio Spurs, New York Yankees, United States Women's National Team, the UFC, 80s movies, plus my metal, plus politics and sports. It's very exhausting covering so much, but I love doing it. And in the end, YouTube's all about being you. And I just love putting out whatever, we were talking about the beginning of the stream. We're coming late. I lost like 10 subscribers today because I talked about the Redskins name change and how I didn't like it. But you know what? Doesn't matter. Got to be me on there. So if you joined the channel tonight, thank you. If you're already a subscriber, thank you. And OGR, thank you for having me on.
Well, thank you for coming on. And obviously, this is our show. So, of course, why wouldn't you be on unless you're an imposter?
Philly 500 just stopped in.
Did he really?
Yes.
Philly, we're trying to end the chat. You come in. What's going on, my friend? Thank you for stopping by. We were literally ending. Oh, God. The YouTube community is so great to me. It really is. It really is. The YouTube community really is just so, awesome to me. I always, all these bigger streamers coming in, but I've made good friends. But the good news about Philly 500 coming in, I do have the bet with Philly 500. The McKinney, and I forget the safety that they got, but it's irrelevant because McKinney's going to have a better season. Obviously, there's stipulations in that bet, and that bet can be dispersed, but for the most part. But at the end of the day, I'm going to win that bet. I'm going to get a Xavier McKinney jersey. So either way, guys, thank you for stopping by. It's been OGR Sports, and I'll catch you on the next vid.
Double tap.